What's going on? This is All Love Gary from Tripod Sports, and today we're going to be talking about why Jim Harbaugh needs to be the Chicago Bears' next head coach. So also we're talking about this, and I really don't wish this on anybody, but we're going to have to talk about why the Bears need to part way with John Fox. So let's start with that. So in 2015, January 2015, John Fox was hired as Chicago Bears head coach and is replacing Mark Trestman. In the Trestman era of the Bears was really bad. He let the players get away with a lot. There was talk about like the players could do whatever they want and that the players didn't even respect him in the locker room. So, you know, Fox was really the complete opposite of that. He was really well respected and he really had established himself as a successful head coach in the league. But I really had a kind of a question, the fit, if you will, because the Bears were in a full rebuild. Like, they were the process of gutting that entire roster. And, you know, John Fox, he was already established as a league, and usually when you do a rebuild, you kind of want to hire a younger coach that you can develop with the team. But John Fox, you know, he's already been around for a long time, so it kind of, the fit kind of didn't work for me because, you know, Fox is a coach that wants to win now, but the Bears were planning to win for the future. And in the first two seasons, you know, they were rough, to say the least. Fox and the Bears were 9-23. They weren't very competitive. They had a lot of, like, blowouts, and they had very few bright spots. But, you know, this season, it was supposed to be a little bit different. You know, there was a little bit of a glimmer of hope, if you will. They drafted the potential franchise quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky, second overall. You know, they had a very solid run game in Jordan Howard. He was a rookie last year, but he was second in the league in rushing, and they had a very strong and really, to me, an underrated defense. But, you know, somehow Fox really managed to screw things up in a big way. There was a lot of rumors that he wasn't on board with the Trubisky pick, and he kind of, like, sabotaged it. It was kind of weird. Just him and Pace were not on the same page at all, and you have to be on the same page, and communication is key. And, you know, because he somehow proceeded to still start Mike Glennon for 5 games, and this is very apparent to anybody. If you've ever watched a single snap of football, you could see that Trubisky was a better quarterback than Glennon, hands down. There's really no reason why Glennon should still be starting. And then when they finally did go to Trubisky, they had a lot of questionable offensive, you know, game plans. One game plan, they only attempted 7 passes, and I get trying to protect the rookie quarterback, but they still won the game. So I guess it's a success, but you're just way too one-dimensional if you're just only attempting 7 passes. And then this one was really funny. Against Green Bay, the Bears had the ball, and the running back was going to score, and he was ruled down at the 2-yard line. So Fox challenged it because he thought his running back had scored. But upon further review, it was determined that the Bears player had actually fumbled the ball. So the Bears kind of won the challenge because it was overturned and they weren't charged a timeout, but they ended up losing the ball. And not only was it not a touchdown, Green Bay got the ball back at the 20-yard line. It was just a joke. It ended up being a turnover. And like, as a professional head coach, like, you can't do that, man. Come on. He really, you know, I kind of feel like he's being stubborn. I don't want to say that, but it just feels like, you know, he's kind of pouting and he's stubborn, and he's just not really adjusting to the way the league is nowadays. You know, in his 3 seasons with the Bears, he's 12-29. And this really was crazy to me. The Bears in 3 years have only been favored 6 times. They've only been expected to win 6 games the last 3 years. That's crazy. And they're 0-6 in all of them, and 5 of them have been at home. So, you know, they're competitive now, but they're still not winning. These are really the reasons why I think we'd have to move on from John Fox. And if you do, the guy first on the list needs to be Jim Harbaugh, in my opinion. He was drafted by the Bears in the first round in 1987. He was a quarterback. He played with them until 1993, so he's got familiarity with really the franchise and the city, and he was never much of a star, but he was always a backup. So, you know, he really knows how to deal with the media in Chicago, and that could be an animal all by itself. His first major coaching job, he was hired to coach the Stanford Cardinal December 2006, and the year before that, they were coming off a 1-11 season. And his first 2 seasons were nothing great, but, you know, they showed a lot of improvement, and they finished 9-15. But he really turned it around in 2009. They went 8-5. They made their first bowl game since 2001, but they ended up losing in the Sun Bowl to Oklahoma, but they were very competitive. So you could see that Stanford really was on the positive trend. They were trending upward compared to where they've been. And it was really because of Jim Harbaugh. He really changed the whole identity. People were really excited in the 2010 season, and rightfully so. They finished 12-1, and they finished with the overall ranking of number 4. And if you remember, this team had Andrew Luck and Toby Gerhardt. They were really good. And Harbaugh really, he was instrumental in guiding this team to the 12 wins. They defeated Virginia Tech in the Orange Bowl 40-12. That's the first BCS bowl game in program history that they won. So that's huge. That changes the whole outlook in the program. That may be like the biggest thing for the program. But after the 2010 season, Andrew Luck went to the pros, and so did John Harbaugh. He went on to coach the San Francisco 49ers, and you're going to start to see a trend develop. Again, the 49ers were really bad the year before. They hadn't made the playoffs since 2002, so they've been bad for a while. And they're really coming off a 6-10 season, but they had a lot of talent. They had Alex Smith and Frank Gore, Michael Crabtree, Navarro Bowman, Patrick Willis. I mean, this was a good team. So you could see they had talent, but it just wasn't coming together until that first season Harbaugh took over in 2011. They went 13-3, and they won the NFC West. They're really known for having a great defense, and just their intensity was crazy. They earned a first-round bye in the playoffs that year, and they ended up defeated the Saints 36-32 in the divisional round to advance to their first NFC Championship game since 1997. So it had been like 13, 14 years since they'd been to an NFC Championship game, and Harbaugh's first season, he got them there. But they ended up losing to the Giants 20-17 in overtime, so they're really short. They just came up just short to get into their first Super Bowl in a long time, and they were very competitive. Great year. So the next season, 2012, they had a lot of excitement coming in, but Alex Smith ended up getting injured in the middle of the season. So they went to the backup named Colin Kaepernick, and he was just special. What Harbaugh was able to get him to do the rest of the season, it was incredible. They finished 11-4, and they had one tie. They beat the Packers 45-31 in the divisional round, and the Packers really had no answers for Colin Kaepernick. He had like an 80-yard touchdown run. He was running everywhere, throwing the ball everywhere. He looked like a man possessed. They beat the Falcons 28-24 in the NFC Championship game to advance to their first Super Bowl since 1994. And this was pretty cool. That Super Bowl, he actually coached against his brother John Harbaugh, who's the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. And his brother John got the best of him. The Ravens won 34-31. But if you consider where the 49ers were, just 2 seasons ago to where they are now, he had really turned that franchise around. In 2013, another great season. They had Kaepernick starting full-time. They went 12-4, made the playoffs again. They beat the Packers again, which is actually pretty cool because he can actually beat the Packers, unlike a lot of the Bears coaches. They beat the Panthers in the divisional round. But this is where it really changed to me because they lost to Pete Carroll in Seattle in the NFC Championship game. And if you remember that game, that's the game that Richard Sherman was talking all that junk to Aaron Andrews about Michael Crabtree in the post-game interview. And it was just such an intense game, and it's like, that game was so intense and so crazy that it really changed the way those franchises went. Like Seattle after that game went one way and San Francisco went the other way. And that game was just like, that's the one game you really can point to that really changed the outlook of them teams. So the next season would be 2014, and this was Harbaugh's fourth year with the team. And like I said, you could see like that game was so hyped, and this season really was a disappointment for them. There's rumors about the relationship with Harbaugh and his players. The players were saying he's like too tough, too strict a lot, and him and the GM didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. They finished that season 8-8, and it began really exciting because they were moving into Levi Stadium, a new stadium, but it was a disappointing season to say the least. And after the season, actually, Harbaugh and the 49ers mutually agreed to part ways. So his overall record in San Francisco is 44-19. They were the 2-time NFC West champs. They were the 1-time NFC champions, and they had Harbaugh had a 5-3 playoff record. So for those 4 seasons right there, they were really, really good. So in 2015, he actually became the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, and here's that trend again. The year before under Brady Hoke, Michigan was a disappointing 5-7. So Harbaugh's first season comes in, turns the whole team around, and they're 10-3. They finished 11 in the coaches poll, and they absolutely blasted Florida 41-7 in the Citrus Bowl. So in 1 year they go from 5-7 to 10-3 with Harbaugh. 2016, another great year for them. They went 10-3. They finished 10th in the coaches poll this time. That was a very competitive and awesome bowl game against Florida State. I don't know if you remember it, but it was a great game. They actually lost it 33-32, but it was a heck of a bowl game. They had a ton of NFL talent on that program and on that team, and but there was always rumors, it's like he's been there 3 years. Is he starting to get that itch again to coach in the NFL? So in closing, I noticed 2 trends with Harbaugh, really. He gets the most out of the talent he has and has turned around 2 college programs, and look at the 49ers before and after him. But the other thing I really noticed is he doesn't stay in one spot long. So if he feels the need to scratch the NFL itch again, the Bears better be first in line. So these are the reasons why I think Harbaugh would be the great choice for the Bears if they do move on from John Fox. I think it'd be a great fit. I'd love to see the Bears turn it around. So until next time, this has been All Love Gary from Tripod Sports. I'm out.